There is another thing I want to talk about, chat. We already talked about the Overwatch League stuff, but there's a second article here that's kind of interesting from NME. Overwatch 2 director Aaron Keller on balance battles and what lies ahead. The Overwatch director discusses Blizzard's balance philosophy in an upcoming campaign and what lies in store. I'll be honest with you, I'm still trying to get my mojo back. Last Aaron Keller, game director of Blizzard's competitive shooter Overwatch 2. He's referring to the terror he feels when Overwatch 2 allocates him the damage-dealing DPS role of his team. But there's a small parallel to be found with the game itself, which suffered from lengthy delays from before launching in October. Wait, is Aaron's having problems with playing DPS? Yo, hang on. Aaron, I got you, bro. Listen. You want to learn how to play DPS? I got you. This is how you do it, okay? So here's how you play DPS, ready? So you walk out of spawn, right? You can see the enemies. You can start looking for some kills. But instead, just walk back into spawn, pick this thing, go back in, ask somebody to pick this character, do this to you, and then you pick this character, and you just go... Oh, you have ult coming up? Let's use your ult with damage boost.
Cybernetics regulated.
Got you, Aaron. Flats, I won't coach you. Also, Flats, Aaron, you need coaching? Hey, listen, man, I gotta take one for the team sometimes. I was gonna say, maybe so then they'll listen to On Balance stuff, but to be honest with you, I've been reading a lot of other streamers and content creators and people's takes on Overwatch balance recently. I've been pretty quiet about it, because I'm waiting for the Hog rework. I still think Soldier's a massive problem, but I'm waiting for the Hog rework before I make any, like, big talks. And I can now understand why devs don't want to listen to people anymore. I have read the most outlandish, dumbest stuff, and even from people around me. The amount of people, all the Hog players and all the tank players that don't play... Sorry, the tank players who don't flex or don't play any, like, main tank type roles are all screaming that Orissa's OP. And I'm like, dude, Orissa's giga buff because Hog's insane. It's there as a counter. Like, they specifically told to us in the last patch, hey, Hog is really strong. We don't have a way to fix him right now, but a fix is coming in the future. So to deal with him for now, here's Orisa. And then they buff Zarya, who's also good against Orisa. And people are losing their minds over Orisa. I'm like, you... Huh? Like, you're look... Huh? Like this is the shit that doesn't get us listened to. But anyways. Also, I gotta say not shit. I gotta say heckin' stuff so I don't get demonetized anymore. God damn it. I keep forgetting. Alright. Months later, Keller and Blizzard have learned a lot about the game they created, yet even more about the shooter, even more before the shooter was playable. The studio faced a difficult decision regarding the game's campaign. The single-player mode was originally meant to launch alongside Overwatch 2's multiplayer, but was relegated to a post-launch update months before the game was released. That was the best decision they made. That's how we have Overwatch now. Yes, it's not the most polished. Yes, it's not amazing. Yes, like, you know, they could have waited a little bit longer and, you know, made it and like polish it up a little bit more. But realistically, did we want them to wait another 6 months to get a slightly more polished game? Absolutely not. I was sick of Overwatch 1, so thank God. Keller says that although it was a really difficult decision to split the game up, it was the right call to make. We found ourselves in a position where we couldn't release all the content that we were building for Overwatch 2 until the campaign was finished. Recalls Keller, who says that the development on the campaign was going slower than we wanted to. Wait, what does that mean? We found ourselves in a position where we couldn't release all the content that we were building for Overwatch 2 until the campaign was finished. Does that mean once PvE comes out, things are going to ramp up? My hands are twitching. I thought it's twitching, chat. It senses content. It senses content. Anyways, we couldn't release all the content that we were building up for Overwatch 2 until the campaign was finished. We found ourselves saying, we're going to keep withholding content from our players so we can release everything together with our original strategy. Oh, it's the PvE. It's the PvE versus PvP. Oh, never mind. The campaign, we're going to have we're going to have to change the way we're thinking about releasing the game. I wonder if that was the campaign versus PvP. I mean, heck. Whatever. Anyways, hopes recrushed. As a result, Overwatch 2's campaign will be released gradually... As a result, Overwatch 2's campaign will be released gradually starting later this year, as Blizzard is still finishing how its content will be rolled out. Wait, what? No way. No. A chance to tell Overwatch's big, overarching narrative is something that Keller is particularly excited about, as he points out that it's not something that you can really do in the middle of a multiplayer game. Why would you not drop it as one big bundle, though? Why would you... Oh, no. Uh-oh. We can go into a lot of depth. I mean, actually, it does make some sense if... Oh, no. Okay, my brain's going a million miles an hour at this point. I need to keep moving. I gotta keep moving before I just start spewing some... God, this is way harder than I thought. We can go into more depth with not just the characters in the universe, but all of the big events that are happening inside of it. That's something the team is incredibly passionate about, says Keller, who adds that Overwatch's bright, hopeful, and inspirational future is setting the developer is keen to explore further. So let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. My bad. Until then, Keller has his hands busy with a segment of Overwatch that players do have, competitive multiplayer. I have a hard time finding ways to get enough time to play the game while also trying to run my game. Oh no, people aren't going to like that. Ramon's the director, who says learning better time management has been one of the biggest takeaways from the last few months. For Blizzard, Keller says its lessons have been more wide-scale. The director admits the studio still has a lot of work to do in addressing feedback regarding the game's rewards and progression systems. Yup. And recalls Blizzard releasing in Overwatch 2's first season its original plan. To issue one major balance pass per season would not be enough to stay on top of the shooter's rapidly shifting meta. Hey, wait a minute. They listened. That's awesome. I actually, so this season is going to be the season we played with 2, technically. I think that the sweet spot might end up being 3. I think the sweet spot's going to end up being 3. One big one at the beginning. Small-ish one in the first third. Or sorry, not in the first third. Like, not halfway, but like a little before halfway. And then a second one in the middle between halfway and well, that would be a third? No, it wouldn't, because it's... whatever. Brain and math. Anyways, for players of any multiplayer title, balance can feel like an exhausting game of whack-a-mole. True, as the same patch dials back one overpowered monstrosity can just as easily rise up 2 more in its place. That's very true. Right now, Overwatch 2's monstrosity is Roadhog. A beefed-up tank that can dish out one-shots while boasting wild amounts of health. Keller has bad news for Roadhog mains. Keller has bad news for Roadhog mains. His damage is on Blizzard's chopping block, but the beefy boy, the beefy boy is a good example of how balancing Overwatch can be tricky. As Keller points out, Roadhog was never changed to be this strong. He's overperforming because other heroes were changed, enabling him to move into a place where he's at now. I just want to say, I called this back in September when I playtested, or sorry, I guess I playtested in August, but when I called this in September when we were allowed to talk about Kiriko, I told everyone that Hog was going to be the most OP, wild thing that you've ever seen once people get to play him with Kiriko and learn how to play the combo. And guess what? When we launched, everyone went to Winston right out of the gate because they had got, like, you know, it was a good Winston, like, being used to it. But then as people realized Roadhog was insane, everyone started playing Roadhog Kiriko. I called it way ahead of everyone else, and no one ever references that. Okay, anyways. Sorry, got a bit carried away there. It would be very easy for us to change him so much that he becomes unplayable. True. So, like, they just nuke him into the ground. or nerfed so hard that people would think he's a throw pick. So who's a throw pick right now? Think about it. Who's a throw pick right now? I think Sombra is the big one. Ryan? I'll be real with you, chat. I think Ryan probably works in most of the lower elo games. I think once you get past like Diamond Run, it's really hard to play. But like for the general player base, who is a throw pick? I think probably Sombra is like the only one I think of. Everyone else is somewhat still playable. Okay, and I say that because high rank, like, honestly, technically anyone that's not Sojourn is like a throw pick. Anyways, so he explains referring to heroes whose community dub. Sorry, he explains referring to heroes who the community dub weak enough to guarantee a loss if they're picked. Okay, so basically, what is a throw pick? We'd like to avoid that, so we're trying to be careful here. But at the same time, we want to make our change meaningful enough to actually have real impact on him in the game. That's smart. That's good. Also, I want to say, like, whenever they've taken time about this stuff, it's actually been okay. So I'm willing to see it. Keller adds that because the community will always try to find the strongest heroes to increase their chances of winning matches, Blizzard has to juggle a hands-on approach to balance with letting the community shape its own meta. That's very interesting. But it actually poses a good point. Especially recently, I've seen a lot of people giving their takes of like stuff that, you know, they think is strong or not strong or whatever. Like, what would be a meta in Overwatch 2? Like, what characters would you pick that you think no one would complain about? Because I want you to think about that. I want you to write that down. Write down the 5 characters you think if those 5 characters were played together, nobody would complain. And then once you write down those 5, realize that there is going to be many people who disagree with you and think you're wrong. Because that's how Overwatch is. It does not matter. They're always going to end up being a group of people that thinks that the current meta is boring. They're going to think it's destructive, it's bad, etc. Doesn't matter if those people are right or wrong, because sometimes people think things and they're right, or sometimes people think things and they're wrong. Who to listen to is really hard for a developer, or really hard for them. Like, who should they be listening to? Like, I saw a take that from like some high level players that were like Overwatch should bring CC back. No, it should not. Give Cassie back Flashbang, give Brig back Bash, give Mei back her Freeze. Like, are you guys like crazy in a single tank format? Like you have no clue what you're talking about at that point, like at all. You're just kind of reminiscing to like the old days. Yes, things can be improved, but just going backwards makes no sense. But then that's the whole idea, is like, who do you listen to, right? Like, I like to think that I have a decent idea on how the game should be played and how it's played, and I have a pretty good track record of guessing what's gonna break the game next, what is gonna be OP, what's gonna be super hard meta, what's gonna be unhealthy for the game. I am pretty good at guessing that. There are many people that disagree with me and think I'm wrong and think I'm the dumbest person on the planet. That's fine. Like, nothing's wrong. Like, it only crosses a line when like it's like genuine personal hate. Then it's like, okay, you're going a little far, dude. But at that point, like, I get it. Like, everyone's gonna have a disagreement. But that's the point, though. I don't think you can ever have a meta where everyone's happy. So the only way to keep everybody happy is consistent, aggressive. I wouldn't say consistent aggressive. Like, every big season, like season 1, season 2, season 3, there needs to be a immensely aggressive patch to completely change the way the game is played, and smaller patches throughout to keep things interesting and keep them juggling. Because if you go more than, I think, a month with a character being strong, the community blows itself up and just goes crazy. It's like, wow, like, this character's ruining everything. Like, no matter what it is. Most recently, it's been Mercy. Everyone's going after Mercy recently. There's videos, there's tweets, there's Twitch streams. Everyone's talking about Mercy recently. If Mercy becomes not good tomorrow, everyone stops talking about it without fail. So I think the only way to keep this hands-on approach is it needs to be very fast and very keeping up the pace. And when things like Sojourn are really strong, and it's like, you know, the community's like, hey, get rid of this character, then changes to that character need to be more aggressive if they're going to follow this philosophy, because I actually think it's good. There's a lot of nuance that goes into balance, Keller explains. it can feel like there are certain heroes that are allowed to be strong or popular, and other than that, when they do become really strong, the community has a pretty adverse reaction to it. Okay, this is a very interesting sentence. There's a lot of nuance that goes into balance. It can feel like there are certain heroes that are allowed to be strong or popular, and others that when they do become really strong, the community has a pretty adverse reaction to it. So here's what he means. Characters like Ryan, Ana, Winston, who else am I thinking off the top of my head? Genji, Tracer, Soldier, maybe even. Those characters are like, they're thought of as like ethical, you know how like Seagull, Emong, and me, we all joke about like ethical character picks. Like those are like ethical characters, like they're not cheesy, like they feel like, like, hey, like I just lost the 1v1, whatever it is. Those characters are like, I think what he means by like can be thought of as strong, as opposed to something like Symmetra. When Symmetra is OP, like especially the lower rank players go bananas because like they're already basically dying to sim turrets already. So if you make Sim strong and make her Sim turret strong, it's like, oh my god, everyone's falling over left and right. It's crazy. I think it's all very natural. One thing of the all very natural. One of the things that we've been talking about internally is what happens when heroes that have mechanics that can be frustrating or stifling to play against become really powerful. That's actually a very interesting conversation. So I wonder if they mean things like Roadhog Hook, Sojourn Left Click, let's say even Mei, like if we got a Mei meta one day where Mei's like freeze was really annoying to play against, those types of mechanics are things that players Sombra hack. That's why I actually don't mind Sombra being really bad, because like I think Sombra inherently is just a bad designed character and is almost impossible to balance. But that's very interesting that they're having that conversation. I wonder if we'll see some changes in their philosophy over the next few patches. The director points out that the same topic can be applied to current discussions about Roadhog. It's like I'm sitting on the board with them. Who opponents can find stifling due to his ability to one-shot more fragile heroes while it's still being difficult to kill. Okay, so yes, but also Roadhog does a lot of damage to tanks, and he can one-shot characters that like something like Ryan Pin can't. You know what I mean? So it's like, when heroes like that become really powerful, the community can have a pretty big reaction to it, while others like Orisa, who are fairly powerful as well, but her kit feels fairer or more steady, Keller points out. I think the community will look at a hero like that, and if he becomes the new dominant tank, it's more accepted. So I already see people who are talking about saying Orisa's OP is like as can be, and wanting Orisa nerfed. I actually talked about it like earlier, but that will always happen. Like people are always going to want something nerfed. But I agree with what he's saying. What he's saying is spot on, because Orisa doesn't one-tap you from Narnia. Granted, if you land a spear on somebody and they hit a wall, you can put a lot of pressure to kill somebody very quickly, which is like what I think the big pain point is, other than her sustainability. Her sustainability, I think, is the big pain point. But yeah, I see what he's saying. It's a discussion that Blizzard is wrestling with at the moment. We don't want all of the heroes to feel samey. We don't want the tempo of every fight in the game to feel the same every month. So that's why they need the big sweeping balance patches at the beginning of the season. Like I think Apex's battle pass patch notes this month was like 30 minutes long, like to read. Keller says, who adds that although the team enjoys the varying abilities and mechanics in Overwatch 2, they are acutely aware that many of those can be pushed too far. And there's a push and pull and a lot of nuance to the way we do this. Okay. Very interesting insight. When he's not chasing down unruly hogs, Keller is looking ahead. There's a lot to unpack, and he gets giddy discussing it. Aside from the campaign, the director says there's multiple heroes and a lot of maps planned for 2023, along with a lot more events like the game's ongoing Battle for Olympus event. I personally didn't like Battle for Olympus, but I do like that they're doing more events and fun content. Personally, I just didn't enjoy it very much. but that doesn't mean they shouldn't do more of them. Like, the people that sit there and go, they shouldn't do these fun events because they need to be balancing their team. Bro, it's different parts of the team. Like, the people who come up with the Battle for Olympus is not the same people who come up with balance. You know how that can be proven? Because the Junker Queen changes did not make it into the Battle for Olympus. When you axe somebody, the cooldown's still 8. It doesn't go to 6. Ramatra's 20% speed buff does not apply when you're in Nemesis form in the event. They are two different groups of people. They don't even speak. Well, they probably do speak, but, like, they're not the same people. So when you say, like, oh, I hate these events, they should be working on balance. It's like, dude, they're different groups of people. Like, please, touch some grass. Even though I didn't like the event, like, still, like, I hate people that do that. Keller also teases several new and returning game modes, including a new one that he's so excited to announce. Well, that's interesting. And a mysterious Season 3 skin that he thinks the community is going to go wild for. So probably the new Legendary skin. Mercy Legendary skin incoming? Pause champ. I bet it's Mercy or Kiriko. Those are my guesses. In the immediate future, Keller says that the team is focusing on fleshing out Overwatch 2's roster of support heroes. There we are. There's the bingo piece. Yep. Which he admits offers the least amount of choice compared to the game's tanks or damage dealing roles. Absolutely. We are really focusing on supports right now. You hear that? I think I've told you guys a bunch of times. They say it every time. We are really focusing on supports right now. They know, they're working on it. The next 2 heroes that were going to be released are support heroes. Wait a minute. What? Is this this is actually like officially confirmed now? The next 2 heroes were going to be released are support heroes. Oh, that's cool. So that means the season 4 and 6, because every other, so season 4 and season 6 will both be support heroes. Interesting. That's cool. Season 4 and I'm assuming season 4 and season 6, but okay, maybe I shouldn't assume that far, but I'm assuming because they're supposed to be every other season you get a new hero, but the next 2 heroes will be support heroes. So Pog says Keller, who teases that they bring some things to the game that we haven't seen before. Some new mechanics and really exciting ways of interacting with your own team. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, new support abilities. Nothing's ever gone wrong with those before. With all that in store, it seems likely that Keller will be putting his newfound time management skills to the test. I could talk all about the future all day, he beams. Keller may be still finding his mojo on the battlefield, but the picture he paints of Overwatch 2's future suggests the game has found its own and lies what's in... Oh, dude, hello, brain just turned off. Future suggests that the game has found its own, and what lies in store will be busy. Less Roadhog-dominated year for fans. Sorry, Roadhog. No, don't be sorry. Don't apologize. That's the right call. Okay, cool. So that's very interesting. We learned that the next 2 the next 2 heroes are going to be support characters. That's actually pretty major information.